Hello there, everyone. Patricia Hayes here with our Coffee Time Career Chat Authentic Networking Edition. So glad to have you here. If you're joining for the first time, my name again is Patricia Hayes. I'm an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And what that means is that I am here to help you and your teams to up-level your executive and professional presence while also building sustainable professional networks authentically, and to do it in a way that lasts and helps to build on what you're already creating. So that is me in a nutshell. And we are here with our regular session on talking about networking specifically. And this month's series, we've been focusing on the team professional relationship development. And so this has really been targeted at our HR folks, at our team leads, at our executives, directors, and all of that. Those folks, if you're not in one of those roles, it's still relevant to you, but just think about it in terms of how can I help to carry this forward within our team. And so it's really been important because I've been getting a lot of requests for help with how do I help my team engage in this relationship development for our organization, for our company, for our nonprofit, for our entity, and to make it relevant for them. So that's what we've been talking about this month. Still focused on all things networking authentically, and building out those professional relationships. And so thus far, we've been talking about rebuilding your team's networking confidence because, hello, we are coming off of a international pandemic, and people need to know how to reconnect in a confident manner. And so while I've been doing some training on doing that during the course of the crisis, we're now shifting to how to do this in this new hybrid format that we're working on professionally and out in the world. Then secondly, we talked about identifying the relationship needs of your team and your organization. That's what we discussed last week. Really important because otherwise you're flying blind. You're trying to lead people blindly, and that's not effective or helpful for anyone. So you want to make sure you take the time to identify who are those people, those industries that you need to connect with and that you need your people to connect with in order to achieve the goals and the mission of your organization. So this week we're moving forward, and now we're talking about connecting the dots for your team and your organization so that you can achieve those goals. All right. So that's our topic today. And as we move forward, here's the first thing to remember. It is a complete waste of your time to identify those relationship needs that we worked on last week, but not make the connection for your people. And because you cannot assume that they will make the connections on their own. Most people will not. I know that when I go checking out new people, exploring new opportunities, somebody might look at me and like, what is she doing? That has absolutely nothing to do with what she's working on. But what they may not realize is if I have future goals for, let's say, building out a program, or for finishing out a book or a journal. And so that's why all of a sudden I'm going and dipping into these networking groups that have to do with authors. Because otherwise you'd be like, what is she doing, right? Same difference here. Help connect the dots for your people, and which is what we'll talk through a few of those steps here today. But connecting those dots for them will help them to be able to process what it is they're doing, why it's important, and to make sure that it's successful for not just themselves, but for your organization, which is what ultimately you as a leader, a team lead, or whatever is trying to do. All right. So the first thing that you absolutely want to make sure to do is to make it relevant for them. This is so that they can get where you want them to be. Make it relevant. All right. No one wants to go sit in on a 3-hour training session when you haven't explained why this is relevant to your current work, or why this is relevant to where you're headed with the organization. All right. Now, people will do it because you make them, but that's not going to get you the results that you need, particularly when you're talking about building relationships. So if you want to take your people into an industry or to taking on new responsibilities that they're not usually engaged in, I've had this happen a couple of times with folks who have outreach teams who needed to own more of the organization, so that when they're touching those people, people also understand the rest of what the organization does, right? And so that's where they pulled me in to say, hey, can you help them connect the dots, right? To make this so they can see where it's relevant in their current work and space. And whenever that's happened, I've had the participants come back to me and say, I never thought of it in this way. I never would have made those connections on my own. So that's why it's super important for the team lead, for you as the executive or whatever your leadership role is to make sure that you're making it relevant, or whoever you're having to train the team to move forward, hopefully that's me, is making it relevant to their current space and time. All right, that's the first thing. Second thing, make it simple. There's nothing worse than overworking something that can really be super, super simple. And I know we get this all the time, that whole little kiss, keep it simple, stupid, or keep it simple, Sam, whatever you want to say, so that's not derogatory. But there is value, and the reason why that little statement still works is because there's value in remembering to keep things simple. I know that I have to refocus and recenter often myself, because I can get worked up about, oh, but this needs to be done and that needs to be done. And it's like, just pick up the phone. Just send the message, right? Quit trying to get ahead of yourself, because that's normally what's happening. You're trying to get ahead to the end when really all you need to do is lay out the first step. And so when you're talking about connecting the dots for your people and why, so that they can understand why they need to get more involved in building out their professional relationships, just keep it simple. Let them know we're doing X next. We would love for you all to connect with more people in this space so that they can know that we're here now, right? Keeping it simple. Making sure that the steps that you're asking them to take are simple ones, not convoluted ones where they get lost in it. This can come up a lot, particularly, I know everyone cares about analytics and you care about the data, but when it comes to relating that to your people, if you're trying to relate this to people in your creative department, they don't give crap about your analytics, right? Or some other part of the company where that's not their day in and day out. So don't overcomplicate it by like, well, we have to have 1,500 connections on this in order to make that. No. Just say, you know what? I need you to make sure that you are making one step per day to contribute to this process. So just show me how you're doing that. One step per day, right? Break it down. I use this a lot when I talk to people, because if I went out and told most people to, let's say, go out and connect with, if I told you to go out and connect with 156 people right now, you would be like, that's crazy. I don't even know where to start on that. Like, what would I do? How would I do that? Okay. Much less, let's say, if we were to double that gets it closer to, to 300. People would freak out. They would shut down. They would have no idea. However, when I'm doing trainings and when I'm doing workshops, I don't tell people to go connect with 200 people. I say, I want you to write down 3 names right now here today, and I want you to reach out. Tell me how you're going to reach out to those 3 people in the next week. 3 people. Now, here's why I'd say that. And then I say the next week, follow up with another 3 people and keep doing it. Because 3 people per week will get you to that 156 number in a year. So this is why keeping it simple helps. It helps people to be able to process, to make it relevant, to make it achievable for them right now, today. Never have I ever thrown that 156 number out there. I only started doing it after the fact when I say, if you reach out to 3 people per week, this is the number that you will have contacted or made contact with over the course of a full year. And then people are like, oh, wow, I never thought about that. Exactly. That's the point. I don't want you to think about that 156, 200 people number, because people will lock that into their brains and be overwhelmed and will not take the first step. Help them keep it simple so that they can engage in the first step. Okay? So that first step may be, I need everybody to attend this workshop. I need everyone to reach out to one person that you know in the creative space. Whatever it is, keep it extremely simple and then build. Okay? That's how you create success and create some relationship building for your organization that's sustainable. You're talking about doing this for the long haul, people, not for what you can get out of somebody in the next 30 days. Save that for your business development people. Save that for your sales people who are used to those types of analytics and drive when it comes to, we got to go connect with X number of people. Save that for them. The rest of your team, your program team, your tech team, all of the rest of those people, that is not how they normally engage. So keep it simple for them, all right? Which leads to number 3, which is make it plain. Again, no heavy jargon, no fancy words. Keep it simple and make it plain. Do not make it something that's so complicated that someone's having to figure out, but okay, what is it that I'm supposed to do? And how am I supposed to do it again, right? When you've made something plain, which helps and coincides completely with keeping it simple, when you've made it plain, again, it makes it more digestible. It makes it easier for someone to process. And when you're talking about tossing folks out there to network more on behalf of your organization, you gotta keep it simple and make it plain. And some of that making it plain will be, when you go attend this conference or this workshop, it's great. We'd love for you to come back and tell us what you learned. Tell us who you met. Okay? We expect a 5-minute review from everyone in the next staff meeting. Like, make it plain. 5 minutes, tell us what you learned, tell us who you met. Okay? Those types of things that, again, make it so that it's digestible and can be processed easily. All right, and then the last thing is make sure to complete the picture. Put in that missing puzzle piece. Connect that last dot. You remember those little connect the dot pictures, and when you couldn't figure or something didn't work out right, and you're like, wait, this does not look like it's supposed to. Well, the same thing will happen for your people. If you do not complete the picture for them on why they're doing this and tying it all together, they're going to be just as lost as when you started. Actually, it may be a little bit more, because then they're also going to have some frustration added on top of it. All right? So the last thing you want is a lost and frustrated team. So connect the dots. Show how their actions fit into the big picture. So if you have an outreach team, again, because this is one of the ones that's come to me a couple of different times, if you have an outreach team, or let's say you have a tech team, and they're always going to these conferences, but they're not necessarily bringing back what they've learned or saying, hey, I connected with this person. Show them how this fits into the big picture. Hey, guess what? When you go out and you attend those workshops and those conferences, you are attending on our behalf. You are, in fact, an ambassador for our organization. And they will see that, hey, wow, they have a great tech team who comes and engages with things, who's willing to get involved and to connect with other people. And how that brings back value to the organization. If you have an outreach team who's going and making presentations all the time, but not bringing it back in terms of what I just connected with this group of people and I gave out, but what did I take in so that I can bring it back to our organization to make it better, to build it forward. Okay? Finish the picture for them. Connect the dots. Show that this is real. This really is a two-way street. And that will give your team and your people, that will help to give them the confidence they need, the relevancy they need, an understanding of what it is you're doing and why it matters. That's what people really want so often. They really just know, like, what am I doing and why does it matter? There's nothing worse than for people to engage in behavior or to do work that they think doesn't matter. That is a death knell. Like, that is an employee who's not going to last. But when you continue to show why what you're asking them to do, and this goes beyond this relationship building piece, right? So these are things that, you know, that tap into naturally with a lot of your team building and development trainings that you may have. This is another piece of it. Here's why we are building up and asking you to connect with more people so that it can tie into this next move. Even if it's something that you can't share the details on, you can say, we are making moves to, you know, into a new field or to do some different things. And so you being out there and how you represent us matters. And we want you to share what you've learned and bring it back so that we can figure out how we can make our outreach efforts better, how we can share that information with the marketing team, and they can maybe make a shift about how things are being presented in another way. All of these, show them how the pieces connect, and that will help you to build out a sustainable relationship network for your organization, as well as for your people that everyone will value and gain from. All right, that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to following up with you again soon. We have some master classes coming up, as well as a new executive presence and a leadership program that's going to be coming up this summer. So I look forward to pulling you all in to all of those wonderful things. If you have questions or want to learn more about how you can offer this to your team, just hit me up in the DM, send me an email, and we can get some time on the calendar to have a chat. All right? Thanks and take care, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye-bye.